Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our third and what is our final episode of Ask the Agents. We're very excited that, we get to do another episode for you guys. We should let you know this is our last one. We've had some great questions that have come from our community. So thank you so much for sending them in. As we head into June, we're going to be doing some other great things with our agency. And so stay tuned on all of our channels for some other ways that we'll be engaging with all of you in the coming months. But for today, we do have a final episode with Sharon again this week. So thank you for joining us, Sharon.
Thanks, Em.
Great. So we've had some wonderful questions come through from our community this week that kind of goes back to the roots of PR and the value that it plays during the current climate that we're in. And as we enter into this recovery phase and lots of us are going back to work, we've had some wonderful questions that I think tie in nicely with where we're heading. So to kick us off this morning, we've got our first question that's come through from Melissa. Now, Melissa has referenced a really great article, Sharon, that you wrote for Mumbrella, which is a leading media and marketing publication, where you wrote about small business and kind of what it is to be a small agency owner, in this recovery phase. Now, she's written in and said, so Sharon, I saw your Mumbrella article recently, and as a small business owner, I totally agree with your comment that we need to step outside of our comfort zones in order to survive COVID-19 from a business perspective. My question is, how do you inspire your team to rise to this challenge with you?
That's a really good question, actually, and I think a lot of business owners would be facing a very similar type of situation. I think it's made up of three things for me. That's kind of been my learning. The one thing is that everyone needs to understand what the bigger picture is and how they feed into that success. So, and what is success, and how can everyone in the company play a role in that success? So that's the first thing. You've got to make that picture really clear. And then secondly, you've got to give your team autonomy. They need to be able to manage their own day in the way that they want to. They don't need to be micromanaged. You need to trust your team and let them do their thing. Because ultimately, the output is how you measure success, really. It's not about how many hours actually go into it. It's more, what are the results? What are we doing? How are we moving forward? And I think that that's, number two for me. And number three is to really not be afraid in this kind of environment, to try everything, because it's unprecedented. We don't really know how audiences are going to respond to things. So I think it's about really trying new things and pushing yourself creatively, because you can only really win out of that. And if something's not working, reevaluate things, look at your learnings, and then move on to the next thing that might really work.
Yeah, that's great. And as being one of your staff members, I can completely attest to everything that, Sharon, you've talked about, because it really is that, when you feel like you have that autonomy, and speaking from personal experience, having that, I do feel so much more inspired to then, rally with the team and really fight hard to get us through this, recovery season. And it's good to just have that freedom and trust to be able to do that. And it does really inspire us to work harder.
Fantastic.
Great. So heading into our second question, we've one come in from Peter. He says, now that restrictions are starting to ease and businesses are slowly returning to normal, I'm concerned that attracting new clients will become harder in the coming months. What are some ways we can go about onboarding some?
Look, I think, again, a really great question, because we're all grappling with that, of how to reignite the business and how to attract new clients. I think that one of the secrets is to actually revisit with your old clients. You already have a relationship with them. So your old clients and your existing clients, they're the ones that are really going to get behind you, because they have a history with you. They love what you do, and they're fans of yours. And so to me, it's all about continuing on and cultivating those relationships, and revisiting with some of the old ones and seeing how you can help your clients win through this period. Secondly, I think it's really smart to create some very simple digital campaigns, whether it's EDMs to your database, or whether it's creating videos that are really helpful for your community, just like we are at the moment. It's a really simple, cheap way to reconnect with people. And then thirdly, of course, I think PR is a really great tool. Looking at your trade media in your industry and connecting with the journalists there, and providing your opinion, providing helpful articles or, you know, any news, any new wins, any new tips that you've got to share with that audience. I think that's really helpful. And doing, you know, things like webinars with trade journalists, etc. I think all of those types of outreach are really simple and inexpensive way to connect with potential clients and get things reignited again.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. And that kind of ties us in nicely to our third and final question. You mentioned, obviously, you know, getting PR on site and what that kind of looks like. So our third question here from Monica is, I'm looking at investing in marketing for my company as we enter into COVID-19 recovery. I want to make sure that people know about our services and will invest, but I do have a very limited marketing budget. So I would like to know where I'm most likely to get my bang for my buck.
Yeah, look, I would be inclined to look at your social channels. I think that that's something that you own and you can control the message. You can certainly, depending on what you do, you know, LinkedIn is an obvious one with in a B2B sphere, so connecting with potential clients there. And I think writing a lot of content, writing articles for LinkedIn, building your thought leadership and commenting and sharing content is a really great, inexpensive way to connect. Ultimately, I think it is a really good time to make sure that you've got a database. And so, you know, in your history of time of networking, etc., you would have collected a lot of information and made a lot of contacts. Making sure that that's all electronic now, that it's sitting and waiting for you to reignite again is another really inexpensive way to reconnect and to share information. So I think your owned channels and, you know, being active on your website as well, blogging, providing a lot of insights and a lot of tips for your potential customers, and then pushing that out through your social channels. Again, really inexpensive. It's great for your SEO as well. And it means that you can attract, you know, potential new customers through your website. So just looking at your own channels and doing everything you can with that means that you don't have to invest in a third party. It just means that you need to spend some more time marketing yourself and thinking really smartly about how to use those channels that you own. If you've got a little bit of a budget, you can also look at boosting, so that more people see your content through your social channels. And that also doesn't cost a lot to do, but it just makes sure that you've got a new audience to tap into, or a bigger audience to tap into.
Yeah, of course. And you mentioned, obviously, marketing yourselves. Would you recommend that brands be doing more thought leadership about their CEO or directors, or kind of building that profile in that sense?
Absolutely. Now is not the time to be quiet. I think the companies that are going to come out first are the ones that are investing in marketing, because a lot have pulled back on their marketing spend. So if you are out there marketing yourself and building your thought leadership and using those spokespeople that you have in your company that are fantastic, you're the ones that are going to stand out in the crowd, because everyone else is probably just hunkering down and trying to figure out how to really come out of this operationally. So if you're really still focused on marketing and still focused on talking to your audience, you're going to come out first.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for that, Sharon. Those were some really, really good responses to questions from our audience. As I mentioned earlier, this is our last episode, so I want to say again a big thank you to everybody that has sent in questions and has watched us over the past couple of weeks as we've answered them for you. On behalf of the whole Agent 99 team, I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to hopefully partnering with you in the future.
Thanks, everyone. And thanks, Em.